How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another video for the public for New Biology Clinic. Hopefully, everyone's having a wonderful day, wonderful start of the new year. And I wanted to take some time to discuss the thing that gets brought up a lot of times when it comes to sleeping. I know I've talked about this before, but I do, again, want to bring these things up because sometimes it's been years since these clips have been made and being able to reiterate some of these main points. And that when it comes to sleeping, a lot of times what people will ask me is what's the good way to sleep? What's a bad way to sleep? And the reality is, when you're sleeping, you're unconscious. Like you're not in this state of any awareness. And so a couple issues that arise from trying to sleep a certain way I've seen with people is that it actually causes less sleep because you're constantly waking yourself up. You're constantly trying to go to bed with an overstimulated mind, and that's on top of already an overstimulated day. And this is where the body will pass out. Sometimes people will just crash. And then that crashing out feeling doesn't last very long because you're waking up a bunch during the night, so you're never really getting good sleep. So the last thing we want to do is add more stress to the sleep. And you'll say, "Well, I wake up and I'm super stiff. I wake up and I sleep funny and then I'm all over the place." And I understand that. So rather than trying to look at it from a point of how do I change the way I sleep? The thing is we want our body to be able to get into a position throughout our conscious day to let the fascia, let the body know we can do that. Like, for example, a lot of people say, my shoulder hurts because I sleep like this. I sleep like this. And the reality is if you can get to that position at night and you can go unconscious and limp and you can hold that position, what you're noticing is in that unconscious state, you've relaxed enough where that fascia isn't doing this. It's let go. You see this happen with people who get knocked out. If you've seen someone get knocked out and they drop like a rag doll, that lights out is turning off your body, that fascial restriction, contractions that will take place. So you'll see somebody who's completely, immobile, but they get dropped and they go like a rag doll and their arms are going like this, which in their conscious state could not get to those places. And so what we're seeing is that you can get there. Your body will get to these different places, but because the fascia isn't used to it over time, it's still trying to now support that position. So what happens obviously is when you wake up, you're like, oh my gosh, like my shoulder hurts so much. And so the reality is going, we want to be able to know, hey, certain ranges of motion are limited. So we want to train throughout the day in our conscious mind, having the ability to train those patterns, train these positions moving through the joints through all the ranges of motion where you can, consciously do that safely and, very mindfully, you'll start to see that you're training not the muscles, but you're training the fascia to move in ways that it can, when you then go to sleep, when you go lay down or you're whatever, you're sitting at a chair, sitting at a table, you're able to make those adaptations without it needing to hold on and restrict. Because realistically, if you were to try to sleep like sitting up all the time or sitting sideways or sitting in ways, it's going to become very hard. And you see a lot of times that, yes, there are times you have to make conscious movements and conscious efforts. Like if you're pregnant and you can't, obviously, if you're someone who's a stomach sleeper, learning how to sleep on you have to sleep in certain positions in order to protect yourself and protect the baby. But with those, there's such a stimulus, a feedback that lets you know where you are in space and time, where you're gonna know. Like for the most part, most majority of people are gonna know, especially obviously women, are gonna know, hey, I have to stay on this side. So you can relax yourself into that position. Most of us aren't needing to do that. So the reality is we're gonna try to find spots where we can sleep comfortably, get comfortable. But if it's a spot that you're like, well, this is causing me pain, we got to train that. We have to throughout the day move through these different ranges, learning how to let ourselves relax and flow and moving in and out of it. Not because we're trying to do anything crazy here, but we're just letting that fascial system know, like, I have this available consciously. I can move, relax. I can take, if I'm holding tension here, learning how to move in ways where I can disperse that tension. Breathing really plays a big role in any tension in the neck and shoulders, is how the breath is expanding, but also closing in, because a lot of us are not letting a lot of that breath go. We're holding on to it. So this is another huge component as to what could be causing these pains. So if we can work on our breath, we can work on these different ranges of motion, relaxing the fascia, moving in ways where we can really be mindful. Body has that memory. The fascia has that memory. So if you do go and lay in a spot, it's not going to be a situation where you're going to be completely, off that shoulder for the rest of the week because it's injured. Your body can adapt. It will adapt. Another huge component is when you get so tired because you're so sleep deprived, one of the big things that happens is that you will stay in one spot the whole night because your body is so tired for a lot of people. The reality is when we sleep, we're moving around. You're always moving around. Watch animals, watch kids who go all day. A lot of times they're moving around. And that's just the natural state of being when you are sleeping. So if you're finding yourself in one spot all the time, it's either because there's a huge pain stimulus that's kind of taught you how to stay still. You're so exhausted and so sleep deprived that your body just shuts down and you're not even getting yourself into a true REM cycle for a lot of people. Or you're pregnant and you're trying to be as still as possible, and you know that's your body recognizes and it's adapting accordingly. So I say all this because if you're someone who's like, how do I sleep? If it's causing you stress, probably better to focus on what can I do throughout the day to train and make these adaptations in my arms, in my shoulder, in my neck. If that means sitting at a table, doing these different ranges of motion, seeing what's available, working on rotation, working on different ranges through your neck, breathing, working on some breath work. Those are all things that could be very, very helpful. And then over time, helping us release that tension that we might be holding as we're sleeping or trying to find somewhere comfortable to fall asleep. So, anyway, I hope that helps. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. More videos to come. Have a lovely rest of your Monday. And on that, I'll see you guys next time.